Hey everybody, how is it going? Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be going over the overall market first because the market action is just bonkers. It's crazy, or to quote Alex Karp, the market is batshit crazy. And who knows what the heck is going to happen? Is this the bottom? This big reversal candle, the bottom of the market? And short answer, who the hell knows? I mean, this market moves so fast anymore. This is not the market I was used to when I was a kid. This thing just moves way, way faster. Now, there is some time left in the trading day, and by the looks of this candle, it looks like we probably have a reversal. Usually this ends up having some follow through to the short term, so if I had to guess, I would say this is the bottom, but like I said, who the hell knows? This candle right here I thought was the bottom, and it did turn out to be the bottom, but it kind of hung around underneath that 8-period exponential moving average for 3 days before we got another buy candle, and then we had some follow through for just a few days. So it's going to be really interesting to see where this one plays out. If we do get a reversal in the market, I think the QQQ is going to be the place to be. A lot of those big name tech stocks have been just knocked down, and I think those are the ones that are probably going to end up catching a bid if we do end up having a bottom in the overall market. So that's what I plan to take advantage of. I'm probably going to end up buying the TQQQ, which is the leveraged QQQ to the upside, or maybe just buy some call options on the TQQQ, because I do think that that's what's probably going to have the biggest bounce in the overall market. Now, I want to see a little bit of follow through first because, you know, who knows what the market is going to bring tomorrow, but I do like the fact that this is a very nice looking reversal candle. It is coming in on some above average volume. It's not huge volume. I wish it was, looking more like this day that we had right here when we had this reversal candle, but, you know, the trading day is not over, so this candle should get a little bit bigger, and hopefully, you know, it ends up closing near the high of the day. Now, I had a bunch of orders in for my long-term positions just below where they were opening at today, and I got filled on none of them because all of my long-term holds that I wanted to buy, you know, they ended up turning around and taking off right from the word go as the market opened up. So unfortunately, I got a little bit greedy and I didn't get filled on any of those, but I did send some extra money to my M1 finance account, and you just put in on your M1 finance account whether you want to buy or not, and then it just buys in the first half hour. So at least I was lucky enough to get filled on some of those stocks. If this does happen to be the bottom or not, because you certainly don't want to miss the bottom. You want to be buying when the market is rolling over. You don't want to miss those big down days or those big reversal up days, because if you miss those days, your portfolio really suffers. So what I try to do is just buy a little bit extra when I think we're getting close to one of those days, and my portfolio usually does just a little bit better than what it would have if I didn't do that. But let's take a look at the the SPY. See the SPY, the very same thing, big gap down, a huge reversal. It's getting above this low that was from that reversal candle from a few weeks ago, so that is a good sign. Now, of course, we got to get above this 8-period exponential moving average on the SPY, plus we have this area of resistance right here. It's going to be a very, very pivotal day tomorrow and early next week to see if we can get past these resistance levels and the 8-period exponential moving average. Let's take a look and see how the diamonds are doing, or the Dow Jones Industrial Average. You can see the Dow Jones is just a little bit weaker. It hasn't filled the gap completely yet, but if we get some follow through in the other two, we're definitely going to be moving up towards this resistance area right here. So that's going to be important for the Dow. And taking a look at the IWM, you can see the IWM having a very nice reversal candle as well, right at the previous low that it made a few weeks ago. So it's going to be really, really nice if the IWM can get some follow through to the upside. Now, when the market opened up this morning, oil was up a ton, but it has been selling off the entire day. I had a position in LNG that I ended up taking off the table today, and that thing had a big gap up, but I was watching some other stocks and I kind of missed it. I did end up, making some halfway decent money on LNG. Well, let's take a look at it real quick. But this thing, I was accumulating it down here, and this thing gapped all the way up to almost 140, turned around in the blink of an eye and was under 130. And unfortunately, I just was not paying that much attention to LNG this morning. I would have loved to have gotten out in the 130s, but oh well. It was a halfway decent trade. It is looking like oil is probably going to be headed down, at least in the short term, after having a big reversal candle like this after a long steady uptrend. It usually ends up having some follow through to the downside, so that's why I took profit in LNG. Now, with everything that's going on with Russia and the Ukraine, who knows what the heck is going to happen with oil. Oil could be right back up tomorrow, but normally after an extended uptrend and you get a big reversal candle like that, odds favor it's probably going to have some follow through to the downside. But that's how the averages are looking real quick. Let's take a look at some of the stocks that I'm expecting to bounce. All right, well, I'm going to get right into the one that I like the most right here, and that is the TQQQ, which is the ProShares Ultra Levered ETF for the QQQ, which of course is the NASDAQ. And I do think if we get a bottom right here, this is probably going to be one of the ones that I definitely want to zero in on as far as playing to the upside. As we can see, we have the makings of a pretty nice looking positive divergence on the MACD, and that's a pretty good bottoming indicator. It hasn't really completed yet, but if you're not familiar with a positive divergence on the moving average convergence divergence is, it's just a lower low in price, but a higher low in the indicator. So the indicator is diverging from the price. That usually ends up being a pretty good buy signal. Now, all we need for the completion of this is a move above that 8-period exponential moving average, which is this white line right here. And then, of course, the green line, which is the fast line in the MACD, jumping back above the red line. And, of course, if price ends up getting above that 8-period exponential moving average, probably definitely going to get that fast line jumping back up above that slow line, that red line. So I do think the TQQQ is ripe for a decent move to the upside if the market does bottom, fingers crossed there. But, just examining some of the stocks that are in the NASDAQ that look like they are also ready for a bounce. You have Apple having that big reversal candle off of the 200-period simple moving average. A little bit of a double bottoming formation in Apple. If we take a look at Facebook, I know everybody hates Facebook, and Facebook is certainly due for a reversal after being in this long downtrend. We get a nice bullish engulfing candle. And if we go to the weekly chart on Facebook, you can see the last two times that Facebook made it below the 200-period simple moving average on the weekly chart, they ended up being pretty decent buying opportunities, and you're getting a nice little reversal candle on Facebook on the weekly chart. Of course, if we get some follow through tomorrow, it's going to be even a better looking candle on the weekly chart. Another one is Amazon. You can see Amazon having a pretty decent looking double bottom as well. So this one looks ripe for some follow through to the upside. And of course, Tesla's been selling off. We got a nice little, I guess it's not a picture perfect positive divergence on Tesla on the daily chart, but still it looks like we could be bottoming in Tesla as well. Another one is Google. You can see Google is also making a nice double bottom as well. Google, of course, came out with those dynamite earnings just a few weeks ago. It's hard to believe with how good those earnings were that it's just been selling off almost every single day ever since, but that's the type of market we're in. But, most of these big cap NASDAQ stocks came out with some pretty darn good earnings, with the exception of Facebook and maybe a couple others. They all came out with some really good earnings. So I think there's going to be, once things really start to turn, I think there's going to be a lot of institutions that are going to be piling into these names. So I think the TQQQ, is definitely my favorite right here. Now take a look at Adobe. Adobe is definitely ready for a bounce. Got a nice bullish engulfing candle on Adobe, and Adobe is already pushing up against that 8-period exponential moving average. Might even be going over it today. Let's take a look at NFLX, Netflix. Netflix is one that disappointed on their earnings, but they're certainly due for a bounce after making this double bottom right here, and of course you can't forget Microsoft. Microsoft also making a nice double bottom, yeah, a little bit of a double bottom with a potential for a positive MACD divergence as well. So a lot of these big cap tech stocks, I think they're just ready for a bounce if the market cooperates. I think that TQQ is going to be the one that I am going to focus on. All right, well, before I close out the video, I just want to go over my trading activity for the day. I made a couple of round trip trades, a couple of day trades, and the first one was in INDO, Indonesia Energy Corporation. This one had a nice big gap up, so I was trying to do my gap and go strategy. And spoiler alert, this one was a money loser. I just managed this trade terribly because I was just looking at so many other things. I actually wasn't even going to take a day trade today because I had so many things that I wanted to potentially buy in the early morning. Just a little distracted, but that's no excuse. I should not have taken this trade. But anyway, let's take a look at what happened. And when you look at this beautiful pattern that it made, you're probably going to wonder how the heck I lost money on this. But this is what I like to look for: a gap up and then a fade down until it finds support at that 8-period exponential moving average and makes a little bit of a rounded bottom, which you can see this one made a beautiful one, but I just got ahead of myself. I thought potentially it was reversing right here and was going to head up. So I bought in at $12.53, which was pretty much the high right before it rolled over, and I got stopped out at $11.70. Let's see where that is on here. Right about there, right exactly where I put it. So unfortunately, I just wasn't patient enough. I should have waited for it to find some support and then start to round up, because it made a very clear ceiling, and then once it broke above it, this should have been my entry. And the entry was right around, I don't know, call it 12.55, the potential entry anyway, and this thing ran quickly all the way up to $14. So that was plenty of room for a very nice profit, and actually went to a high of about $14.50. So that was just a very nice run. But unfortunately, I was still a little preoccupied looking at other things, and I just mismanaged this trade. That's the way it goes sometimes. All you can do is learn from it. But I did make one more trade, and that was in the QQQ. And judging by how the QQQ is finishing today, I should have held on to this. But let me go to, let's go to the 5-minute chart on this one. I was watching the QQQs all day, and once it made this pattern right here, I bought the breakout. I actually bought the 333 call option, and I sold out right about here, I believe, right before the thing exploded even higher. But I bought in on those at $3.21, and I sold them out at $5.67. So I made everything back that I lost on that day trade, and probably just a little bit more. So if I would have done that day trade like I should have, it would have been a pretty decent day, pretty profitable day as far as the day trades go. But that's how it goes sometimes. But those were the trades that I made today. So I'm going to end the video right there. If you guys have any questions at all on any of these things, make sure you leave it for me down there in the comment section, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And until next time, take care, everybody.